Hi guys, thanks for joining today's call, today's Fireside chat, and we'll be talking with Kevin Dam, a good friend of mine. He's a uh, digital marketing expert. He's heading the partnerships for a digital marketing agency based out of Asia. He's going to be here talking to us about strategic partnerships for startups, as well as figuring out how to build a business based out in Asia. So we have him on the call today. Apologies that he doesn't have video. We had a few technical difficulties earlier, but why don't we just start by getting Kevin to introduce yourself. When we get more joiners on the call, we'll get them to ask questions, Kevin. But why don't you start by quickly introducing yourself, your background, and what you do?
Yep, sure. So just to make sure everybody can hear me clearly.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep, awesome. So my background actually started off in accounting and finance. That's what I studied at uni. Did accounting for 9 months. Knew I didn't want to do that. And then I went to a banking role. Worked for global bank, JP Morgan. Some of you might know. Did that for almost 4 years and knew I didn't want to do that anymore either. So I took a leap of faith and went into digital marketing. I was quite lucky at the time as well, because the agency I went to work for, they were willing to take me on without any prior experience, but in the capacity as a client, and that's kind of last year to do my own thing, and have been freelancing, working with my own clients ever since then. When I decided to kind of move overseas, probably last December, I was always thinking about it, what I wanted to do and where I would go. And an opportunity came when I told some friends that I was going overseas. They said, why don't you help us expand into Asia? So one of the projects that I'm working on now is the one that Will just mentioned before, helping an Australian startup actually expand to Asia. I'm head of the regional partnerships in APAC. I currently spending my time in Singapore, Hong Kong, and Jakarta. Those are the three main cities that I'll be focusing on and developing the partnerships in these three main cities. And that's our, I guess, go-to market strategy, and has been for the whole business. That's been around for about 14 months. It's called whiteseo. So yeah, my role will be to bring on new partnerships, build rapport with people and other agencies in the area, and get them to try and experience our platform.
So let's talk about the digital marketing agency and its expansion efforts. So it's originally based in Australia,
Yep,
and it's looking to break into Asian markets. Why Asia in particular? You mentioned Singapore, Hong Kong, Jakarta. Why those three key markets?
Well, one of the main reasons why we wanted to be based in Singapore is because the work that we do is with search engines. A lot of it is with search engines, and Singapore being in a predominantly English-speaking, and actually Singapore, the national language is English. It was a close neighbour to Australia, and we've done some tests with our platform before, and it worked well in Singapore. Jakarta, similar type of story, but also the fact that it's got 55 million SMEs in that country alone, and the language they use is Bahasa, which is again similar to Australia and English. It's all the alphabet, and we can work well with it. And Hong Kong is also a similar story. There are a lot of expats, foreigners who are working there. It's a big hub. It's a gateway to China, and it still uses the main search engine stuff that we do is Google related, and that's a big part of our platform.
So I guess why don't you start by telling us a bit more about what the platform does, and then the next question will be more, how do you even start looking at finding the target customers in these different countries? Because you mentioned that in Hong Kong you have the expat, community. In Singapore you have the English-speaking SMEs, and similarly for Jakarta as well. How do you actually come across, deciding on what target archetype, your business would normally target?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so going back to the business itself and the offering, we are a white label SEO, SEM, social media, and also soon to be email marketing platform. And our go-to-market strategy has always been to partner with existing digital agencies. So there is, in fact, quite a few agencies in Australia already who use our platform. And the reason why you would want to use our platform is because, one, we have a good product, and two, and I'll go into a bit more explanation about that and why it's a good product. And two, the work that we do is highly scalable, and we leverage a lot of technology that a lot of existing agencies don't have, and I guess have never really thought about doing. So to go back a little bit as well, from a digital marketing perspective, in particular SEO, SEM, and also SEO, it is quite a laborious task. There are some things that you would do that Google likes to see, but because it's quite manual, not a lot of agencies like to do those tasks. And because we leverage technology, those manual tasks we've managed to automate and systemize a lot, to the extent where we're able to bring on campaigns of up to 300 locations. And we just did this about 2 months ago. We launched a campaign for a particular client in Australia that was Australia-wide, and we brought on 300 locations in a month. If you went and asked any other SEO company, would they be able to do that in a month? It's probably not something that they would be able to do, but we've been able to do that because we've leveraged technology. The reason why we leverage technology is because if you're in the know about digital marketing and SEO in particular, it was quite an easy thing and quite profitable business probably 6, 7, 8 years ago. You could change a few things on people's websites, and those signals would flag to Google that you're a relevant website to what people are searching for. Over time, obviously, Google has evolved their algorithm. They've found out that people are doing what they call black hat techniques to manipulate the search engine, which is one of the reasons why we're called white SEO, because all the stuff that we do is all white hat. So the stuff that we do is all white hat, and we've been able to leverage the technology because other agencies were offshoring their work. Very, very common in the finance industry, the banking industry, the insurance industry, all those big blue chip businesses are all offshoring to Manila, in the Philippines, and also to Mumbai and Bangalore in India. And we thought, look, we can also do the same, and we did do some of that before. The next play would be to then potentially offshore to another low-cost country, like maybe Vietnam or China or somewhere in South America. But why would we go that way when we know it's just going to be a matter of time when everyone else starts to offshore their work to those countries as well? Why don't we just skip right to the end? And if you think about it, there is no cheaper way than really automating and systemizing everything we did. So we thought, you know what, we're not going to go to another country. We're just going to invest in people to build the automation software, and that's what we did.
So what's interesting?
Sorry.
So what's interesting, Kevin, is it sounds as though the business model has completely shifted, especially when you're trying to tailor it to a completely different market. So I mean, being the head of the partnerships, focusing on Asia, how what sort of trends and what sort of sales tweaks do you need to do to target Asian customers? Is there a big difference in comparing yourself to finding Australian customers versus that of in Southeast Asia, for example?
Look, it's the tweak has been slight, mainly because the platform we've created, a lot of it is based around the search engines. So from that perspective, there's not that much of a change that we need to do. The change that we need to do is the people that I'm actually reaching out to. So for example, in Australia, a lot of the businesses that we work with are local stores that have a shop presence, a physical presence, and because the work we do works really well for shops, I guess businesses that have a physical presence. The main reason why is because we believe there's going to be a shift from Google to promote more physical location businesses, and we can see that through some of the updates they've done over time. One earlier this year in April, where they would give preference to websites that had a mobile-friendly websites, and that's purely because they believe a lot of more people are searching on their mobile phones. Now, the other thing with the mobile phone is you have your GPS, locator. So what that signals to us is that Google wants to show people who are searching on their mobile phones, physical shop locations. You've got your click to calls when people are searching as well, and you've also got the different map packs that show up now in Google searches, where they've got the listings of the stores and what it looks like on the physical map. So in that sense, it works really well in Australia. Although coming to here, Singapore as an example, I spoke to a potential partner just last week, and he said that it's not something that the local market is really willing to take up at the moment, because there's a lot of other food discovery channels and networks, such as Hungry Go Where, you've got your Zomato's, you've got your Open Rice, and so from that perspective, a lot of people discover restaurants from those channels. So from a partnership and also a potential partnership perspective, it's not really a market that we're able to tap into. Another example of something that we are able to tap into are, I guess, the other local businesses that are out there, such as discovery for health, wellness, and beauty type of websites. There's another potential partner that we've got that's in the space of discovering different venues. That's something that's we're working towards as well.
So tell me a bit more about the whole sales cycle process. Now, I know that you recently moved to Singapore to focus on the Asian markets, but prior to moving over, you did a lot of discovery and customer discovery stuff yourself.
Yep.
When you were in Australia, what was the thought process? What was the sort of engagement timelines that it took to firstly find the right customers and get them initially interested? You mentioned that you traveled back and forth quite often. What was that process like to find your first customers in Asia?
Yeah, look, the first couple of flights over in May and in July were to see if there was an interest and learn about the local market, find out what type of agencies there are around here, and what type of business they do. We found that a lot of the businesses the different digital agencies that are in Singapore and in Hong Kong and in Jakarta, they're actually quite multinational. And we feel that's because everything is quite close to each other. It's stone throws away. The whole region itself is called Southeast Asia, and encompasses pretty much all the different countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Jakarta, you've got the Philippines, you've got Thailand. They're all encompassed in that particular area, and a lot of the agencies do work across those different countries. So for us, what we did was, what are the ones that we found? Sorry, there's a car driving past. What are the ones that we found that are multinational, and are they in the markets where our platform is going to excel at? China is on the market, and it's one of the regions that we do want to get into. and that's why Hong Kong is important to us. But in China, Google's actually, been banned, and Google's not the main search engine there. It's Baidu. So finding potential, partners to work with and showing them the value proposition of what we've got and how it can help them scale their business, and getting to see what their interest is like was kind of like what was the main purpose of the trips earlier in the year. So after finding and on those 2 trips in Jakarta, I found 3 potential partners. I found 4 here in Singapore and 1 quite large one in Hong Kong as well. And they all showed interest in the platform, not only because of the service and the platform that we've got, but also really the end, and I'm going to use the word, the end game of kind of what we're trying to do, which is build a platform that uses machine learning and predictive analysis to be able to apply a learning from one campaign to another campaign at a rapid pace and a rapid scale. Google itself is an engineering company. They do a lot of other stuff, but they're an engineering company, and the search engine itself is based on hundreds of different signals that help it identify through the algorithm what's relevant to the user. Now, in the past, there's been a lot of different tests and different tweaks that SEO practitioners do to find out what the different signals Google uses to rank a website are. But now we're taking it 1 step further, and we're collecting all this information from the campaigns that we run, and we're able to test on a huge scale through the use of machine learning and predictive analysis.
And how do you come about selling to these potential partners in the beginning? Do you find the engagement process tedious? You mentioned that you picked up a few clients, across those 3 countries, but I mean, what was that? What did that funnel look like? Did you send an email blast to 100 candidates, then set up meetings with 20, then close 3? What was that? What's it like to find partners in Asia coming from a business based out of Australia?
Developing a network and a network of people that and developing networks of people you don't know is really important. It's funny, social media can help in a myriad of ways. If you've got certain people on your, say, LinkedIn profile that have a heavy weighting, and you're connected to them, and they might have given you a recommendation on LinkedIn as well, that has helped a lot. And my typical, let's say, lead generation process, I've got a elevator pitch that's written out, what value we're adding, and it's always about what's in it for them. My email that goes out, sorry, my LinkedIn message that goes out is like, look, we've been developing this, so we set up the posture. We've been developing this for the past 14 months. We started at 18 months ago, but partners been using it for about 14 months. We've got X amount of agencies that are using it in Australia. We found that it works really well, and everybody really likes it. We're bringing on new agencies every day. The conversion rate of an agency in Australia that sees our platform is 95%, from seeing the platform to wanting to become a partner. And that kind of statistic, is quite a good statistic, and people want to know, is that something that we could potentially leverage off? And so, showing that information and saying, look, we actually want to explore what potential opportunities here are. You're a local digital marketing agency, and I'd love to share this with you to get your expertise and your feedback on it, to see if you think it would work here. And so that kind of puts them in control, and we're not actually trying to sell them. It's not about selling them on the spot. It's about saying, hey, look, I want your expertise and your knowledge to see if this is something that you think would work here.
That's actually a really interesting point, Kevin, because it sounds like there's quite a few steps. It could be personal, but also related to having the right elevator pitch. So you mentioned, having the strong LinkedIn recommendations, strong LinkedIn presence, having the right elevator pitch, knowing the story of your potential partner and being able to phrase it so it benefits them. What would you recommend? Because we do have a lot of candidates who are doing partnership development or BD for their QLC project. What would you recommend are the top key priorities that they need to have before approaching potential partners?
Look, the number one key step that I think you need to have down pat is you need to know more information than whoever it is that you're speaking to about what you're speaking to them about, and about them, and about yourself. So negotiation and building partnerships is really about who knows more than the other person. Because if you can tell them something that they don't know, it's harder for them to, I guess, rebut and say, no, this is not true, or what about this, or what about that, and so on and so forth. So I would say that's the most important. So study about what it is that they do as a business. Find out about all their different channels. Find out about all the different services. How does your platform fit into it, or how does your product fit into it? How can it make their life better, faster, stronger, easier? How can it save them more money? How can it make them more money? How can it help them scale out their business? That's I would say one of the most important things that you need to do.
Did you just reference Daft Punk?
No.
Okay. Okay, so no, that's actually really good, because we do have a few people on the call who are doing strategic partnerships. What I wanted to talk about next was more about your background and your experiences, taking that leap of faith from Australia, moving to Asia, and setting this up now. Anyone on the call interested in asking any questions regarding partnership stuff? If not, we can continue on and leave the questions to the end. Okay, cool. So Kevin, why don't you share more? So you recently moved to Singapore. What's that like? Sounds as though you're at your Maxwell doing a few tech nomad meetups at the moment.
Yeah. So I'm part of quite a few different communities online as well, and one of them is as you said, they're digital nomads, other people who are working in the digital world and are location agnostic, and they we have a Slack group, and one of them is in Singapore, or a channel based in Singapore, and we just say, hey, look, let's meet up on a particular day, and we chose today to be the day. And I thought, what, it's quite appropriate that we're talking about moving overseas, and building a life in a new city, working with other people and working in the online life. And I was just, and it's a pity that I can't get the video to work properly, but I was sitting with 5 other people who are all digital nomads as well, and we're just having dinner and just chatting about what everyone's doing, what everyone's working on, how we can help each other out. It's quite it's quite a giving community, and Will, you yourself would probably agree to this as well. Once you start getting into this dynamics, everyone wants to help each other out, because everyone's in the same boat, and it's it's kind of like the David and Goliath kind of scenario, where everyone who's doing their own thing or trying to do their own thing, they're willing to help someone else who's in the same shoes, because one day, just maybe one day, someone's gonna, that person who you helped out can help you out on your particular journey or adventure down the track as well. So having the community and the networks is quite important, and it's one of the things that I like doing as well, just meeting people, and when this opportunity came up to help the Australian business build, expand their business into Asia, I was like, this is a no-brainer for me.
Tell me a bit more about what it means to be location agnostic, because for a lot of those who are new to the tech startup space or the digital nomadic space, those seem to be really big buzzwords. But what does it actually mean for you to be not stuck in a particular country or not tied down to a particular area?
Yeah. So I mean, I guess there are a lot of precursors that need to, or I guess they don't need to have to be there. But if you don't have a particular mortgage, or you don't have a house, or you don't have anything that kind of holds you back at the moment, and I made that decision a long time ago that I want to travel, and so for me, I don't have a mortgage. Everything goes into the bank, and save for a rainy day. If I wanted to travel and find a different location, everything that I do, and has been for a while as well. Everything that I do is planned around that. If it's not going to allow me to travel and work on it at the same time, it's probably not a project or a gig that I'll take on. And a lot of my friends say, you're so lucky that you get to travel when you work, and you get to travel all the time. You're working when you're at the beach, or working at a resort or whatever it is. And my answer to them is always the same. It's like, you could do the same too. It's a matter of taking the leap of faith. When people are forced, back into a corner, we can be very, very resourceful people. We've made fire. We've made houses out of mud, with sticks and straws and all that kind of stuff. But over time, as technology has evolved, we've just become lazy. And if you do and you are kind of willing to take that leap of faith, and it's one of the reasons why it's called a digital nomad. Go back to the nomadic times. You force yourself to do something that you need, and it's a very, very minimalistic type of lifestyle as well. You don't splurge. You don't really, you might treat yourself to certain things every now and then, but you want to explore, live the nomadic lifestyle, and everything you do a lot of times is so that you can do it online. Online has globalized the whole world, and there's probably not a particular role that you don't have an internet connection for. It's funny because one of my good mates, he works for Vodafone, and he bumped into who he thought was actually an ex-colleague, and he said, "Mate, where have you been? Like, I haven't seen you about a year and a half." And he goes, "Where are you working now?" And he goes, "I'm still at Vodafone." He said, "What do you mean? You're still at Vodafone?" He goes, "Yeah, I've just been working at home for the past year and a half." Right, and so he's had the ability to do that, and I don't know what his particular role was, but if you are passionate about something, and you're willing to take a bit of a risk, take a bit of a gamble, or even try just push the buttons of your manager and say, "Hey, look, I want to work 1 day a week from home," and get a taste for it, you might feel like this is something that you can actually do. People do ask as well also, how can you keep yourself focused and concentrate? And my answer to them is, well, when you don't have a fixed salary, you'll do whatever it takes to make sure you get fed. And they say, well, that's kind of true. And once again, it goes back to being lazy and being complacent, and not and just kind of saying, okay, well, it's not something that I can do, and not willing to really take that leap of faith.
That's actually really interesting, because I mean, whilst the team at QLC, we do quite a bit of traveling, we never really thought of the digital nomadic life being applied to the corporate space. Like your friend who's working at was it Optus or Vodafone?
Vodafone. It wasn't my friend. It wasn't my friend. It was my friend's colleague.
Friend's colleague, right. So
it was my friend's colleague who hadn't seen for a year and a half, and he found out that he'd actually still been working for Vodafone, but just at home for the past year and a half.
Yeah. What I wanted to get your thoughts on was, how does a typical graduate, so a lot of our customers, they're working in the corporate space, they're probably in an office job, how do they take that first step to get a bit more travel into their lifestyle? How do they start building the skills to be able to take their work their skills and experiences online?
One of the most important things is express it to your manager. I think if your manager or your leader or your mentor has some sort of a clue, I think they would understand and believe that it is quite a digitally enhanced working place now. And I think EY has taken I don't know if anyone's looking at EY there. EY has taken a step to also believe that online education or education from a non-formal perspective, like a university, is not important anymore. They've just taken the criteria off that you have to have formal education for you to get a job with EY. So kudos to them. So yeah, express your interest in being able to travel. Is there any particular roles? Explore the type of roles that are available. And you have to really be a self-starter. No one's going to really, drop it in your lap and say, hey, look, why don't you go and travel and work? Because that would be unfair for the 20 other grads that probably want to do the same thing. You definitely have to be self-starter, self-motivated, and really think about your reasons why you want to do it. Do you want to work for someone else for the rest of your life and build their dreams, or work on some of your life and have your own freedom and control and control your life on your terms? That's kind of one of the reasons why it helped me. Why am I working 8-hour, 9-hour, 10-hour days when someone else is getting paid the fare or the fee that I'm charging on an hourly basis when I could be doing the same? Because my boss wasn't doing anything. I was finding the clients, I was doing the consulting and doing the production work, managing the team, and I was like, well, why can't I just do this myself? So I did that. And,
what I found... Sorry, finish that, Kevin.
Yeah, no, so what I was saying was, if you can find something that you're passionate about and willing to learn and willing to take a pay cut, I think that's one of the big things as well. I took 2 pay cuts when I changed jobs twice. One was a 40% pay cut, and the other one was like a 50% pay cut to get to where I am today. So, and be prepared to work and do stuff. People are like, you're going to the beach on a weekday or whatever it is. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to the beach on a weekday, but I'm also sending emails at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 11 p.m., something like that. Nobody sees that. And, if I shared that, then it'll be normal to everyone else. But that's not cool on social media, so you don't share that.
No, I know what you mean. What I find really, really awesome about your story, Kevin, is you started, so you switched careers from finance and you went into the digital marketing space, and now you've taken those skills to actually, create almost your own consulting practice. What's that process like? Because I mean, I would like to think that the traditional startup thing is, you're bored of your job, you don't really like what you're doing, and then you go, find an idea that you're passionate about, you start building it, and that takes you to wherever you are. So that was sort of like the story of QLC. We got bored of our jobs at Accenture, and we moved to another country to do a completely different career, do a completely different related startup concept. But in your case, it's actually you're taking the skills that you learned from digital marketing and essentially setting up your own practice, or having much larger responsibilities at a global scale.
Yeah. So it's look, one of the things that I like to do is networking and just meeting people. People used to say I'm like a social butterfly, and I thought, why don't I actually take this negative stigma and turn it into something good and put it into business practice, let's just say. So all the things that I do is based around networking and meeting people. So white SEO is one of them. So going out meeting partnerships, doing another thing called Innovator, which we help inventors find buyers and licensees for their products and their inventions, and we also help them license their IP. I'm also helping another social media company promote their product in Asia as well. There's a a marble business, Greek marble business that I'm helping out as well, and a coffee business. So one of my friends that I met up with the other day, he also said to me, look, you're doing too much stuff. You should be focusing. I said, look, I'm not really doing too much stuff because I don't spend any time on the coffee thing, really. I don't build the products. You know, it's been done. It's a set up business, established business. I just tell people about it or share it with other people who I think might actually find it useful. Same with, I guess, all the other platforms. And that's also kind of like one of the ways that helps me be motivated. If I'm bored with one particular thing or I'm stuck on one particular you know, project and I can't figure it out at the moment, then I would, you know, go and work on one of the other projects that I'm working on. And for me, that's fantastic because there's never really any downtime, if you could put it that way. Because sometimes when you're doing just that one job and you're stuck on it and you can't figure it out, you don't go do anything else. You're stuck on that for the next potential day or the next 3 hours or whatever it is. And you know, it's usually when you take yourself out of that particular role and in that space, when you come back and say, oh, you know what, I figured it out, and you figured it out in like 10 minutes. And you know, that has really helped me, you know, make my time a bit more efficient.
Talk to me about the minimalist nomadic lifestyle. Like, it sounds as though you've almost crafted, you know, yourself around really strong networks, really interesting projects, and you know, really, you know, essentially getting your foot in the door into a lot of different type of opportunities. Talk me through what your week or month generally looks like when you're trying to, you know, focus on multiple projects, trying to get involved in all these meetup events, and essentially building something long-term on the side. For most of our customers, it might be a completely different, you know, switch, because they do have their mortgage, they have their, you know, their full-time job obligations. What does your lifestyle look like right now?
Well, like I said, tonight, meeting up with a bunch of people. We met at 5 o'clock, had beers, eating. They're still actually, do you know what? I might try and turn on the video for a second. Actually, maybe I'll do that at the end when it's not as important. Yeah, networking, going to using LinkedIn a lot, using meetup.com. You know, moving to a new city, I met up with a guy who was a digital nomad, and he said, "Oh, where are you going tonight?" This was last week. So where are you going tonight? I said, "Look, I'm going to go play touch footy." He goes, "Touch footy? How'd you find that?" I said, "Well, meetup.com." And it's like, wow, I didn't even think about this. And now he's actually been to the touch footy session more times than I have been. You know, so a lot of networking, going to different events, sharing with people, you know, what my particular story, and a lot of it is actually also listening to what their challenges, their problems are, their story, and really finding how you can help them. It's about, you know, building relationships. Most of the times, people won't hand over anything until they feel they can really trust you. You know, and if that's, you know, signing up a contract with us, then, you know, and it's worth, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, that's something that's going to take a bit more time. You know, this guy that I met last week, you know, we've hung out 2 or 3 times since we met, and we kind of really just kicked it off because we're both, you know, living the same type of lifestyle. So, you know, to answer your question, a lot of it is networking and meeting people, and be prepared that, you know, you might not meet anyone, and you might not have another, you know, have a really solid connection straight away. But there are going to be a few gems out there that you do find that you can really build a, you know, good relationship off. And you know, being unafraid of the unknown I think is really important as well, because, you know, in this nomadic lifestyle, you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know when you could potentially be mugged. You don't know if you're going to, you know, not be able to get to your hostel, or not find accommodation, or not, you know, hit those sales goals and you know, networks and those figures that you need to, because if you don't, then you don't get paid. You know, so there's a lot of stuff that you have to be prepared to face. It's, you know, it is challenging, but it's not doable. And one of the other things that I found is that what you've been taught at uni is probably something that you won't really ever use in this lifestyle. And it's not a bad thing, because I think that let's just say my degree was worth $100,000, whatever it is, in terms of value on what I'm doing now, and what my degree is worth. Probably about 30-40% of it, it's worth something, because helping me build different businesses, the accounting background, the finance background has helped. But realistically, your debits and your credits, I don't use that anymore. Your transfer pricings, your net present values, a lot of that stuff you don't use, and you don't kind of use that in the real world. And someone said to me one time, he said, look, if teachers were really good at what they do and teaching finance and stuff, why aren't they doing that in the real world? And that kind of really made me think about it. That is so true. And if you think about the people who are really successful, Oprah dropped out of high school. Richard Branson dropped out of high school. Bill Gates dropped out of high school. All of them dropped out of high school, and they are three of the most wealthiest people in the world. And it's because, going back to what I said before about when you put a human being back to the war, you get creative, you think of new ways to do things. And you don't learn that in the classroom, because those teachers aren't taught that. They can't pass you information that they haven't learned themselves. So going out there, networking and learning from people who've been there and actually done that is really, really valuable and really, really important.
I think one thing that that really comes out of what you're saying earlier is really trying to figure out what you want to do, really trying to figure out your calling. When you do graduate from university, when you get your degrees, your certifications, your first, second, third promotions, right? It allows you to have set targets, set goals. Getting that that yearly paycheck, getting to the associate, managing director level. In the life of what you're doing now, where there's so many different moving targets, there's so many different moving pieces and parts. How do you stay focused, and what are you chasing? I mean, are you chasing monumental success as a tech nomad? What really gets you up in the morning?
What really gets me up in the morning, I haven't really figured it out yet. But one of the things that I do know is that I don't want to be trading time for money. And so for everything that I do, it's usually around the passive income space, or leveraging other assets to be able to create money. It's just that we live in a world where we are governed by money. Like, money's a made up thing anyway, right? It's a means of exchanging value that's common across the world. But what can we do, or what am I doing, and how does that equate to money, so that I don't have to really, like I said, give up time for money. And so all the different projects that I work on, as long as it's something that I see that's going to create me passive income, then it's something that I'll do. So I've had to learn a lot of things around writing contracts, or working with different contracts, signing different agreements, making sure that from a business perspective, I'm protected. Like, I'm writing contracts, and I'm working with my uncle. He wants to export a few things from Australia, and yes, family is family, but making sure that your business deal to protect yourself is done properly is also important. So a lot of things I do, like I said, is to build a passive income, and that's kind of what gets me out of bed every day, to make sure that I do what I need to do now, so that I don't have to do it later down the track. And once I figure out what I'm going to actually do with it, it's one of those things where I had a purpose before, it's no longer there, but I know that whatever I'm building towards, I just haven't found it yet, but I know that what I'm doing is still going to help me get there.
That's a lot better than building towards something that you don't think you're going to be passionate about in the future.
Well, that's that's the thing, right? I like at least what I'm doing now is I am passionate about what I'm doing, and what they say, once you're working on something that you love doing every day, you're no longer working, you're doing your hobby every single day, and that's why I am able to spend 12, 14, 15 hours a day doing it. It's not work to me anymore. It's something that I love doing. I like doing the research. I like spending my time, networking. And it's on weekends I'm working, and I'm totally okay with that.
That's everything from me, Kevin. Thanks so much for your time today.
That's all right, not a problem. Anyone else? Anyone got questions? Nothing.
So anyone who have questions on Kevin's background, his life as a digital nomad or in strategic partnerships, you can either leave a Q&A, write a question on the Q&A section, or I think Ken's on the call. You can ask Kevin directly. But otherwise, what we can do is also get them to send out emails to you, Kevin. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll pass you my email address and you can send it out.
Did anyone on the call have any last questions?
Kevin, Ken here.
Hi Ken, how you going?
Yeah, okay, I'm fine. Just a quick question. Just now you mentioned about like building a network using LinkedIn, right?
Yep.
Okay, because for me, okay, I'm in the banking industry. I don't really have much contacts or friends, and I've been to a few networking sessions, but I don't really get to. Okay, let's say all about this. Let me rephrase my questions. Just now you also mentioned about building your network, as well as like you actually send out posts or even messages to the people in your LinkedIn network. What kind of messages are you actually sending out? As in like what? To inform them that you're doing something, getting kind of support?
No, it's real easy. I guess, like I said, it's all about the way you position it and what's in it for them. How are you going to add value to them?
Okay.
One of the things that someone told me one time as well, just recently, was like, when have you ever received something ever with a closed fist? You always have to open your hand first, and when you open your hand, you're usually giving something away. So give, and then something will come back. Might not even be from that person. It might be from someone else. It might be a contact of theirs. But how can you add value to them? And how can you help them? And if you feel that there's something that they can help you out with, and you also feel that you've added value to them, then it would be more okay to ask for something. But the general message of mine is, hi, John or Ken. I was going through LinkedIn, and I saw your particular profile. I noticed that you're this person at this company, so like job title at this company. I want to connect with like-minded people like yourself, to share to share my updates, and also get some of your valuable insights for the updates that you share on LinkedIn. That's kind of like my cookie cutter, and no one really says no to that, because you're saying that, one, you want to hear from them and their expertise, right?
That's like flattering to them as well.
Yeah. You've acknowledged them. You know who they are. You know what they've done. And you're asking for permission to connect with them. Like, that's rubbing their shoes and and everything. And it's like, why would anyone ever say no? So that's a really good way. And then it's a matter of updating, using your status updates to show your expertise. And share with them that you're also an expert in your particular area.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
I think another thing, Ken, is sometimes it's also good to be a bit shameless, everyone is always looking to meet other people, get their name out there, make another connection. Don't be the stalker on LinkedIn who has an anonymous profile who checks out other people. Like, you want to build that credibility. You want to have the right people connecting with yourself, and that starts with being transparent, being confident, getting your name out there. You might be in the finance industry, but you're also involved in startups. You want to share your story, but also learn about other people. So it does help to, you know, be open to learning, bit of bit of humility, but also hustle a bit and be shameless.
Okay, I think what both of you mentioned sounds really useful. That I think I can try to do something. I mean myself more prominent on LinkedIn. Although, yeah, besides it's just being a hiring tool.
Yeah. Well, I guess ask yourself the question every single time you're about to do it. It's like, what's the worst thing that can happen? You don't get an additional contact on LinkedIn, something that you already don't have. So you might as well do it.
Okay, great. Hey, thanks, Kevin.
Awesome. Nah, good luck. Good luck. If you have any questions, yeah, just shoot me an email once Will sends it out. I'd be happy to answer.
What we can actually do, Kevin, we do have our group forum. So on qlc.io/forum, we'll be hosting our questions there. I think that'll be a lot easier to keep it open. But otherwise, if there's no other questions, I'll let you get back to your group dinner, Kevin. Thanks so much for taking the time today. Really do appreciate that, and I'm sure a lot of people would get a lot of value in hearing about your story once this recording is made available.
Awesome. All right, cool. No worries. Have a good night, guys. Take care.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone,
you.
for joining the call. All right, bye.